Alright, so tonight I've got my friend Scott helping me out with dynoing the Camaro. It seems like we've got the car either on the track or in this room a lot, and there's a reason why. Turns out that compound setups are really, really complex. And it was no surprise, we had a few little hiccups at the mountain with the way it worked. It didn't exactly work the way we wanted. We didn't know why. So the best way to figure it out is to separate out the turbo systems and do a ton of testing and collect a bunch of data. So what we're doing tonight is the second test of our LP only single turbo setup. So on the compound setup we have an LP turbo and an HP turbo. The LP turbo takes the air in from the air filter and spits it into the HP turbo. The HP turbo compresses it again, goes through the intercooler into the engine. We had some weird pressure stuff going on, so what we're doing is trying to figure out in a isolated situation which turbo is going to be ideal for the car. We ran the 91 by itself already. That's the turbo we ran and did donuts at SEMA. You could put a nice little clip there of the car doing donuts at SEMA, and it sounded amazing. Had a gigantic T6 housing on it, and it sounded like it was running on open headers. It sounded great. This turbo is a smaller version of that same T6 housing. It's an 88. We want to see what the difference is. So we're doing A to B comparison, 91 mil, 88 mil. Let's see what happens. Before we were sitting at about 1200 at the wheels with the 91, which is salty, but the problem was it spooled so late that I really didn't feel comfortable taking it to COTA. We're getting ready to go to COTA in a couple weeks, and I didn't want to have the car that late.
Not usable.
No, and when it came on so hard. So what I'm really hoping for is we're going to see this thing, even if we lose 40, 50 horsepower overall at the same boost level, I'm fine with that. If I can get it in earlier, then it's going to be a lot more drivable. But what will be really interesting is later when we can compare the data, if we can get the HP to fill the gap in the 91 might be amazing in the compound scenario, but I really didn't like it for a single.
So you think you're only going to lose 50 horsepower? I was thinking probably more in the range of 200 horsepower.
You're thinking we're going to go all the way back down to 1,000.
But the turbo's not that small.
So we're going to say same boost. We can overlay the data. Same boost. You're saying 200 horsepower loss.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, just based on flow.
Sure.
The only thing in my mind that's going to cost us horsepower in this turbo is it's a little bit tighter turbine wheel. I think we're going to see just a little bit more back pressure, and that back pressure is where our horsepower loss is going to come from. I think the compressor is fine. I think that's going to flow plenty of air on the compressor side, but I think that we're going to gain a little bit of back pressure. That back pressure is going to hurt our pressure differential and cost us just a tick of power. But I'm thinking we could tune around it and get that to where it's within 50. So let's find out. All right, about to jump in it. I've got it turned, the boost controller is turned off. We're running on springs only. On the 91 millimeter turbo, I want to say that it was having a little bit of issues with the tick of overboost with the 91, and the 91 was running right at 15 pounds of boost on springs, which is a little bit higher than I would expect. I'm kind of curious to see, does the 88 show the same amount of boost on springs that the 91 showed? So we started the first pull, and you can see it when it goes really lean like this down low, it's showing that it was trying to make more power, it just didn't have fuel. So I'm feeling like we're going to see a lot of good things coming out of this if it's wanting to be that lean right there. So it was shooting fireballs in the whole 9 yards. We're going to go ahead and richen it up and give it another try. Good news, it's controlling the boost pretty darn well. We're running 3 pounds on wastegate springs, which makes me think that my memory is probably wrong in that I wasn't running as much boost before on springs. I'm kind of wondering if maybe I didn't even fiddle with it on springs last time. So I'm going to tweak the tune just a little bit, turn the boost up, give it another go. So we've currently been playing around with the pressure ratios. That's been one thing that we've been fiddling with a lot with this whole setup, is trying to get the exhaust back pressure to boost pressure ratio within a reasonable range. We're definitely seeing that there's more back pressure with the 88 versus the 91, which is completely understandable, being that we get 2 pounds per minute more mass flow out of the 91. We're trying to see what that does as far as power is concerned. We're currently feeling like it's a reasonably significant loss in power, so it might be trending more towards Scott being right than me, but we're going to turn the boost up a little bit more and see what happens. So it had a weird spot in it at like 6,500 where it kind of went rich and it stumbled. So I think it's just a fat spot, so I need to kind of tweak that, play with the fueling just a little bit, and go from there. Definitely making improvements. Certainly looking like Scott's a lot more right on the power loss. Looks like the back pressure is killing us way more than I thought. We have that 2 pounds per minute of mass flow is a big deal.
Rolling.
All right, so we're back in the lab. We've determined that through experimenting with all the different turbo sizes that we're kind of a little bit in between the G45, GTX47, and the GTX55. So we are going to go back to the larger turbo just so that we can keep our back pressure numbers down just a little bit, keep the EGTs a little bit lower. But unfortunately, when we were tuning it on the dyno, we pulled a stud out of one of the heads on the number 1 cylinder for the rockers. So now I need to pull the head back off again and try and fix that. So we were going to give you a little bit more dyno info, but fab work it is instead. If you guys like the video, please click the like button and the subscribe. It helps us out a lot, and we will catch you next time.